for the large majority of people, you have the same conversations all the time. So why am I repeating myself 50,000 times? Why not just do it once, do it really well? And then when they want help around, should I do X or Y? Actually, we've got a video in our money library. So have a watch. If you've got any questions, let us know. So people don't want to be told what to do. They want someone to support them. And what I've found is that people are really craving financial education. And that's why in the US, particularly, money bloggers are so huge because they are. Money bloggers are massive because people don't want to be told what to do. They want the information to be able to make an informed decision themselves. And so packaging it all together in a way that they can do that, but they've got somewhere to go if they need extra help. That's the new version that we are about to roll out.
Welcome to episode 23 of the Innovating Advice Show. I'm joined by Adele Martin, an award-winning certified financial planner professional and Australia's leading authority on financial advice for Gen X and Gen Y. Adele has run her business virtually for the last 5 years and shares her 6 foundational tools for building a virtual practice. We also chat about how she's built such a successful business that she no longer takes on one-on-one clients. And we discuss the importance of building your personal brand, even and perhaps especially if you work in a large firm. For the links and show notes, go to innovatingadvice.com/episode 23. You're listening to the Innovating Advice Show, and I'm your host, Kate Holmes, bringing you the global pulse on financial services innovation, featuring financial planners, financial advisors, and related professionals from all corners of the globe. Let's dive in. Good day, Adele. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. So we are chatting in sort of the first half of April. So we are a couple of weeks into the whole world being on lockdown, and you focus on Gen X, Gen Y, really around savings. You do a lot of great work with your clients that we're going to be talking through. But with all the uncertainty going on, tons of job loss in all sectors, how are your clients doing and feeling at this time?
Yeah, so I think understandably there's a lot of uncertainty, and that uncertainty causes, stress and anxiety. But that's what the great thing about being a financial advisor and, the very privileged position that I get to be in is that I've been able to help them with that and really help to take some of their anxiety and stress away by understanding their numbers and being able to give them confidence that, yes, if they did lose their job and they did, have to rely on government benefits, what does that mean to them? And so, so it has been, yes, a stressful time, particularly for our clients that, own businesses. But to be able to give them that information, to take their stress away, to put them at ease, I think is a wonderful part of being an advisor. These are the times where we really need to be here and step up for our clients and to be connecting more and talking more and to take that stress away.
Absolutely. And we're chatting in the sort of pre-chat before the show about the fact that you focus on savings and it's not on investments and it's not on products means that during a time like this that truly nobody saw coming, definitely not at the scale that it's hit, you are able to go in and give that advice quickly. You can see, okay, you've lost your job. It's going to be 6 months. This is how much you have to draw down your savings. Like you said, if you get government benefits, not a lot of financial advisors and planners around the world can do that.
Yeah, so I always confused by that because I think, how can you make decisions with confidence unless you understand your numbers? So I treat a household like a business. A business has a profit and loss, they have a balance sheet, and a good business will be looking at their numbers all the time to see, have we got enough to put away for tax? Can I afford to put this new team member on? What can we afford this rent? They get the numbers to help them make decisions. And a household is exactly the same. And so for me, how can you make decisions about, job loss, changing job, career, starting a business, buying a new house, all of that stuff, having a baby, working part-time, all of those things, knowing what you can afford to invest. So even if you are doing investing work, how do you know how much they can afford to invest unless you really understand their numbers? And so, for me, I'm always confused about how you can give advice without actually understanding their numbers. And so, for me, it's just really important to get that sound money management, whether you do, just budgeting by itself or full financial planning. Every client has this money management plan, because if I don't understand that, I can't help them make decisions with any confidence or certainty.
Yeah, and that really gets highlighted in a time like this. I mean, so many of the articles I'm seeing across all major news outlets, mainstream media is talking about what should people be doing during this time. For those that get a check from the government, how should they spend it? How should they save it? Because people aren't taught just those very basics. And I think they need to be able to rely on financial professionals to know that they are going to focus on that first and foremost. Cash flow before, like you said, you can do the investments or know if you have money to invest or you even should be investing at this time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yeah, for some people, this is an opportunity to be able to invest. And so, for some of my clients that have all the things, the emergency fund set up, that have secure jobs, this is now maybe a time to be able to invest. And so, some of the conversations are actually quite positive. But for some other ones, it is taking that stress and that anxiety away. So, yeah, for me, it's been really like, even though it's a stressful time, it's a great time to be an advisor, because this is when we can really add a lot of value to our clients.
That's great. And from an operational standpoint, you have got a tremendously forward looking business. We're going to be diving into a lot of elements of that. But probably the most relevant for this time is the fact that you've been virtual all along. So, from an operational standpoint, has this impacted you at all?
No. So, yeah, I've been virtual for nearly the 5 years now. And so for me, it's just business as normal. And so I would love to say that I was really forward thinking and went virtual, but I went virtual sort of by accident. I was sharing an office with an accountant and, sharing costs. And then she sold her business. So I found myself with nowhere to go. Whilst I was looking for another place, I thought, oh, I'll just try this, do some stuff online. And then I realized it was actually so much more efficient, and it was better for the client, better for me. And so, yeah, it permanently went this way. And so it's so many benefits from going virtual. And that's why I think, anytime a crisis or anything bad happens, I try to, look at what are the positives from this and what are the benefits. And so one of the benefits from this is it's going to force people to use technology, advisors to use technology better. And so to see all the benefits. So for me, what it's allowed me to do is help people right across my country, Australia. So I don't just have to market and find clients in my area. I can go to the whole of Australia to help find clients. So the second thing that it allowed me to do is employ a team from all over Australia and the world. So it lets me have access to the best talent, in the country and around the world, to be able to, give advice. And so there is so many benefits. Saving money on your rent. I don't have to pay, exorbitant amount for rent. It's more efficient and better for the clients because they don't have to worry about parking and, what if there are two of them, how are they going to get both of them in the room, rushing from work, so it's lots of benefits to the clients as well, and obviously in times like this, even before COVID, when someone got sick in an open plan office, it generally went through the whole office. The whole office got the flu, the whole office got it. This stops that from happening. So it's good, from that point of view. But yes, I record the meetings so the clients can watch them back. So they love that. That makes it more valuable because they've got something tangible that they can watch and see. So that for me takes that stress away from the clients, especially, when they're new, they might have a lot of anxiety and stress. To think that, oh, I'm going to be able to watch it back, I don't have to remember everything. It makes it more valuable for the client as well.
Yeah. And I used to think about that and think, I wonder if clients are nervous about that or if they would kind of clam up in talking, knowing that this is going to be recorded. But then over time, I started thinking about it. When you sometimes go to the doctor, and even if it's for a routine checkup, they just throw words at you. You have no idea what they say. You go home. I remember my last annual checkup. My husband was like, "Hey, so how was everything?" I was like, "It's fine." And then I started thinking back. I was like, actually, I have no idea what he said. I think he said to do something or watch something. And I started thinking about
Yeah.
how great would it be if that was recorded and I could have the confidence to go back and really understand what was said.
Absolutely. And so, especially if you're in a state of stress, which a lot of people might be now, your IQ actually drops when you're stressed. Your body goes into that, let's just protect the vital stuff. And so your IQ can actually lower and you won't retain the information. So I've seen it all the time, when someone loses someone, a widowed, then I've seen that happen. I've seen them go into stress and just not be able to retain any information at all. Times like this where their jobs or businesses is under stress, it does it, and they can't retain the information. And so I think this gives them a lot of confidence that they can watch it back and listen to it as many times as they like. And so I've never had an issue. Obviously we don't share it, it's just for them. And so I've never had an issue with clients worrying about being recorded. I always ask them their permission if they'd like to, and they all absolutely love the idea of it being recorded.
That's awesome. And you kind of mentioned being able to source the best talent, whether it's across Australia, whether it's around the world. And that's something I don't think a lot of advisors take advantage of. And, I can see both sides. I fully appreciate both sides. On the one hand, I think the industry and profession needs to do a better job of creating opportunities for those entering the profession. But on the other side, a lot of other countries have really, really smart, capable, wonderful people that can help in a lot of different areas of business that you can get for less cost than someone domestically that can help you better scale a practice and, create a more scalable business like you have.
Yeah, correct. And it was something that I struggled with, initially. So I come from a background, my dad was very strong labor and union. And so the idea of giving a job to anyone that wasn't Australian just was born into me from a very young age, Aussie jobs, Aussie jobs. So I did struggle with it initially. But then what it has, enabled me to do is employ more people locally to do some of those, higher skill jobs. So for me, it's just helped, once I think about it like that, it's helped, considerably. So yeah, so for me, just positioning it to yourself about how actually it's going to let me employ more people because I can be more efficient. I can help more clients, more people. So yeah, for me, we've done it from, I think 5 years ago. I've had several team members that have worked, in the Philippines, and I've just incorporated them like they're part of my business. So, they sit in on the team huddles, they, participate in all of the day-to-day office activities. And so I think that's sometimes when I speak to other people, when they've, employed someone offshore, it's like they're not part of the team. They don't include them in their daily huddles and things like that. And so that's when I think it doesn't work. But super smart people, we're talking people with, degrees and chartered accountants and, and something that I didn't know, all their degrees are in English. They actually, I taught American English, so even better for you guys. So yeah, it just never occurred to me that they would have, universities that are, English based, and they're going to come out super smart, super switched on. And so, yeah, for me, that's enabled me to employ more people locally and also to help more people because managers don't have the cost that we have here. So, $10 Australian an hour, which is probably not much US at the moment. So that you can get someone amazingly talented for that. So yeah, so for me, that's been a way that I have been able to help support and help more people.
Well, and that's embracing sort of this future thinking mindset of getting away from how business has traditionally been done. I remember in the first job I had, I actually worked in the family investment advisory business, and we custodied everything with Charles Schwab. And so we participated in all of these annual surveys. And we were just a 3-person business managing, I think it was $250 million AUM. And we would always do these benchmarks, and we were by far and away more lean and efficient than just about any other company. And it was always so fascinating to me, the amount of companies that were out there that had 100 to 200 AUM and maybe had 6 people. And I just kept thinking, like, well, how much are you charging your clients then if you have that much overhead? Circling back to what you were saying about how many more people you can help. And I would anticipate that you could also then help them at a price point that allows more people to access that.
Absolutely. So you can provide advice more cost effectively. And that's how I position it to new clients, that we are virtual. And one of the benefits of being virtual is I don't have to pay rent. So I've got more money to be able to deliver advice affordably and invest in, education. So I'm able to invest in education both here and overseas and make sure you're getting the most current advice. And so, yeah, for me, it allows you to reinvest back into the business to be profitable, but also to be able to deliver advice, more cost effectively as well.
Yeah. And so what are some of those tools? I know you're hearing from advisors around the world. I'm talking with advisors around the world that are kind of saying, oh crap, we're suddenly forced to work virtually. We haven't done this before. What are some of the baseline sort of processes and tools that you recommend?
Yeah, so I think everyone likes Zoom. I have used lots of different ones before Zoom, and Zoom is not just the easiest for the advisor, it's the easiest for the client. And I think we need to think about that. And so some of the other ones that are out there, we could use, but it was a bit clunky for the client on their end. So Zoom to me was the easiest for them to be able to use. And so I think one of the things I would say is treat it like you would a normal client appointment. If they were coming into the office, you would give them directions, you would show them how it would work. And so same with Zoom, give them directions beforehand, show them how it works, a little video showing them how it's going to work, how they set it up on their iPad if that's where they're doing it from. So yeah, I think that's really important, is to still, help them through that process, make it easy. For some of my older clients, I used to own a retiree business. And so I do have some clients that are older. And so this is one of the mistakes that I made. I never offered virtual to them. I still would go see them, in an office or in their house, because I thought that they wouldn't want virtual. And so that was a mistake that I made, until one of them said, two of them actually said, one of them said, I'm really sick, it's hard for me to get in. And the other one said the driving was stressing them out, parking and traffic. These are guys in their 70s. And I never thought to offer virtual. So they actually asked me. And so now we do them all virtually, even for the older clients. So so any advisors listening that think this is just for younger clients, I would say, I thought that too. It's not right. You just need to ask them and make it easy for them. So yeah, Zoom was easy. The other thing, which I want to make sure people don't think they have to have all the technology right straight away. So sometimes advisors or anyone will think, well, wait until I have X, Y, Z, and then I'll do it. I have to have the Rode microphone. I have to have the HD camera and all that sort of stuff. So I think the best thing to do is just to start, and then over time add to it as you go. So don't think about the technology as something that you have to have right straight away. So yeah, for us, most of the time I just do it with my Apple headphones in. I do have a Rode microphone, but I very rarely use it. And so, yeah, for me, don't use the technology excuse not to do this. So yeah, Zoom is definitely one of them. And then we have to also think about security and what's the most secure. So, and for us, this is something, we had to make sure we got right. So we've used DocuSign for online signature, because awesome. There is some other ones out there, but that one, is the most secure, and our license was comfortable with DocuSign. So we use Dropbox for, all our file sharing. Again, we were told that was, more secure than, say, Google. I would say talking to your IT and talking to your license and seeing, what their rules are as well, because they might have different programs that you are allowed or not allowed to use. They were the ones that are most secure for us. It would be great if they could have a standalone, your team could have a laptop that's just used to work and nothing else. That's not always the case. So you have to make sure then that it's as secure as possible. So making sure they've got virus software installed, and that when that virus software is going to expire, and you are renewing that, because you want to make sure that it's as secure as possible. So yeah, they're the main tools. The one I've just invested in recently, though, is, as advisors, we like to explain concepts and draw. And so often to explain something difficult, we like to draw. And when you go virtual, you sort of miss being able to do that in a piece of paper or on the whiteboard. So I've just got a iPad now at the moment, and we can now draw on the iPad, and that, projects onto the screen. So that's going to, I think, be a real game changer and helpful. So yeah, that's been particularly useful, but you have to go there straight away. So the iPad and first generation pencil are the cheapest way for advisors to be able to do that. You can do it with an iPad Pro and the second generation pencil. That's, a lot more expensive. It sort of doubles in price. And then you've got your Surface Pen as well. So they're the better pens and stuff on the market. So your Surface Pro and your Surface Pen to go with that. The other thing that we did was, is went virtual with a phone as well. So in America, you guys have got a lot more choice than what we have here. So we have basically everyone has an app on their phone, and that app rings. So they ring a 1-300 number, our clients ring that, and they can press 1 to talk to me, or 2 to talk to admin, or 3 to talk to one of the other advisors. And that just diverts to their phone, and their mobile phone then rings on the app. That for us has been the best solution, rather than everyone having individual phones, mobile phones that clients are ringing, and then you can't transfer to your team if you need to or anything like that. So, I mean, there's not really a lot of technology that you need. And as I said, just start what you've got, just start with that. But what I will say is try to do it where you can see them. So I know some advisors that do it over the phone. It's hard to build that connection if you are doing it over the phone. So I always have my phone as a backup, as a last resort, just in case something goes wrong with the technology. You want to make sure you've got your phone and your client's number to be able to ring them. Because worst case, you can have it over the phone if, everything else fails. But where possible, try to have it where you can see them and they can see you. And that's not just with your clients, but also with your team as well. So when you're connecting, when you're having those huddling, don't do it on the phone. Do it where you can build that connection, and that's where you can see them.
Yeah. Or if you're doing a virtual happy hour, like
Yes, we met in a virtual happy hour. We did, Kate. We met in
uh-huh.
virtual drinks. Such a
Yeah,
great idea.
that was awesome. Big thanks to
Yeah,
XY
well,
Advisor for that. So you touched on a few things there. And one of the things a couple of things I want to circle back to on the idea that older advisors don't want to meet virtually. That has long been sort of a funny one to me. And Jen McKay of Link Tank and she's in South Africa, we put out a survey on social media and we asked advisors how they're adjusting to suddenly working virtually. And in the initial survey results, we just had it up for 24 hours, got 100 results in 6 countries. 60% of advisors say that they will increase their use of virtual meetings after this. And
absolutely.
12% of them said that they're going to go completely virtually. And it's so
Yeah.
funny to see, all of these people, they just assumed. They assumed clients didn't want it. They assumed clients wanted to come into the office and see the mahogany. And now that everyone has suddenly been thrust into this, advisors are going, oh, actually, it's nice to see clients in their home, in their own surroundings. And there's an ease that comes with that. But as you said, as long as you're on video and you really get to make that connection.
Yeah, definitely. The video thing is really important. So, so many benefits from it. Like it's more efficient. So
Yeah.
and so you don't have to waste time commuting. Like even as the your team members probably spend time commuting each day in traffic trying to find a park. So we can give that time back to our team members. Why not let them knock off early each day, or not work on a Friday? Give that time back to your team members so they can have it with their family, so they can spend it on their health, so they can spend it on what brings them joy. And so I think it's going to have more benefits to your team as well, to be able to give them that extra flexibility, and to yourself as well. You're not spending time commuting. You can get up straight away and be working within 5 minutes. So no, it is much more efficient. And I think that's one of the benefits that's going to come out of this, is it's going to drive advisors to be more efficient, particularly if you're in a major city. The rent costs can be astronomical, and as your firm gets bigger and bigger, your rent gets more and more. So yeah, for me, that's just so many benefits from going virtual. And it's actually one of the blessings that have came out of this, is it's going to make advisors more efficient.
It is. Yeah, I'm so excited to see how this kind of plays out. How many people are going to maybe initially get sick of being stuck at home with their family and having cabin fever set in, but then maybe once they do get back into the office, I think there's going to be more flexibility in allowing employees to work remotely. I think that's another one of those very traditional things that a lot of financial advice businesses have held on to, and thinking that employees can't work remote. And so I had Joel Drake, he's a technology specialist, on the show a few episodes ago talking about cybersecurity and technology. And you touched on that, making sure that things are secure. And that's going to be another big part of it, is as people get comfortable working virtually and can work virtually once the coffee shops open again and people can travel again, is making sure that you're keeping that security front of mind and having secure passwords and, like you said, secure Dropbox and file sharing, and make sure you've got all of that in place so that you're keeping your data, but almost more importantly, your clients' data safe.
Absolutely. And so, like, one of the things is, if you are going to eventually, when this lockdown finishes, go to a coffee shop and work, which I like to do for my creative work, then you have to be careful not to use their Wi-Fi and things like that, because it's not secure. So, definitely never ever would I use unsecured Wi-Fi. Always use just my phone Wi-Fi. So, we have to be very cautious of that sort of stuff, because you are, more open to that sort of stuff, particularly with your client private confidential information. So very conscious of that. The other thing from an advisor point of view in Australia, I'm not sure it is for you guys, our professional indemnity, like our insurance, you have to make sure it covers cyber insurance. So to us, there's separate insurance for that. And so often some of the professional indemnity insurances and stuff don't cover that. So I think now is more the time, more than ever, if you are going to go virtual, to make sure you've got, that in place, the cybersecurity insurance, to make sure that that covers that.
And probably even if you're not virtual, I mean, financial advisors are prime for hackers to attack. Even if you have all computers that never leave an office.
Correct. Especially emails.
Yep.
There's so many things that happen from emails. So yeah, I think it's a good time to review all your policies, procedures, make sure the whole team knows, the policies around not clicking on emails. When we send an attachment, we always make sure we password protect the attachment. So all those things, even if you weren't virtual, you should be doing as best practice.
Yep. Yeah. That's one of those things I hope people start to realize as they do have to adopt things and transition to this remote environment is you're right. How many things actually still apply regardless of whether you are virtual or not?
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, there is some downsides to virtual as well. It's not all shiny. So I was going to touch on that. So there is so many benefits, don't get me wrong, but there is some downsides, and stuff that I've learned from doing it is, one is you can miss that connection with your team. So for me, I had someone that was working for me, and she had to move away from her family for her husband's work. So she had two small children, no family, no support. And she actually really missed going to an office and seeing people. And
Yep.
so now if I had my time again, I would have done stuff differently, because unfortunately she left to go into a traditional office, and she just said she just felt really isolated and alone. So what we are now doing, in addition to just seeing each other like this, is making sure where possible we meet in person once a year for our annual planning day, business planning day, where we're doing things like the virtual drinks or yoga or meditation or a book club or coffees together, and it's all done virtually. So really trying to build that sense of team in that virtual space, because long term it can actually really be isolating. So that's one of the mistakes or lessons that I've learned. I've also learned that not everyone is suited to virtual. So you do have to be self-disciplined. So you do have to, I suppose like anything really, self-discipline, you have to turn up on time and all that sort of stuff. So we make sure we have a huddle each day with the team at 10 o'clock each day. And we are looking at, what are the three things you said you were going to do yesterday? Are they done, not done in progress? What are the three things that you are going to do today? What are you stuck with? What are your challenges? What do you need help with? And so when you're connecting with your team like that, you can very quickly see if someone's not getting their task done. Like for the third or fourth day, this has been on your number one for 3 or 4 days now. What's going on? How can I help you? How can I support you? So that's definitely something that I've learned, is having to connect regularly with the team, because not everyone can just have a task list and be on their way. And that would be happening even if they weren't virtual. It would happen in an office, but I think there's more chance of it in virtual, because you need to make sure you've got set routines. And so that's one of the things we do, is time block the calendar. These are our client times. These are the times we work on creative projects. And so if you're time blocking, this task is going to take me 1 hour, I'm setting the time for it. So the stuff that we can do to try and help support people, myself included, because I get easily distracted. And so for me, putting that support in place, those daily huddles, those check-in, helps to keep not just the team on track, but me on track as well, because it is easy to get more distracted. And so that connection, that accountability can help. So definitely some lessons I've learned from doing this along the way.
That is a good point. I've worked virtually or from home for, I'd say, the bulk of my 15-year career in financial planning. And I've talked to tons of people that have said, I could never work virtually. I would get too distracted. Well, this is actually a great time to find out, is that true? And if you've always thought, hey, I can't do that, and you're at home and you can't do that, well, that's a really good thing to find out. Or if you know you couldn't do it and you're at home and you're like, actually, I'm really getting the groove of this. And I love being able to go for a run at 10 a.m. or, break
Take the
up your
dog
day
for
in
a
different ways.
walk.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's just this thing. I really hate tracking hours. I don't want to track hours. I want to track outcomes, because
Yes.
who says that every job has to be done 9 to 5? And
No.
so that just drives me insane, that it's every job in the country, every job is 9 to 5. Well, we just fill it with wasteful stuff when we're in the office. So there's actually some research done that says that on average, there's something like 9 weeks a year is wasted by irrelevant co-worker chatter, and that per employee. So if you think about that, that's a big cost. And so we just fill the space with irrelevant stuff and, look busy for being busy. I don't care how long I only care about the time frame. I care about the outcomes. And so if we move more to outcomes based stuff rather than, time clocking everyone, I just think that's a better place to be in. And so, the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which I'm sure you've read, that just opened my mind to, why is everything 9 to 5? That doesn't make sense, that every job in the world needs to be done at 9 to 5. So I think this is going to force people to think more about outcomes rather than hours.
Yeah, that is a highly antiquated system that came from factory work, the Monday to
Yep.
Friday, 9 to 5. Actually, my guest on next week's episode is talking exactly about that and why that just doesn't work in the 21st century. But speaking about what does work in the 21st century and leveraging technology, let's talk about your client acquisition journey, where you find clients. And you really approach everything in your business much more like running a modern online business. And I emphasize that because it's not running a modern financial planning practice. You are looking at it just as what can we leverage in 2020? So talk us through where you find your clients and how you meet them where they're at online.
Yeah, so a lot of my clients are on social, so on Facebook and on Instagram. And so the majority of people will hear me talk somewhere. So it'll be on, I'll do a regular radio show or articles. So they'll hear me somewhere and then they'll come to my Facebook page, adelemartin.com, and then they'll join our free offering. So our free community is the Savings Squad. So the Savings Squad is our Facebook group. And so inside that Facebook group, we are building value and regularly doing stuff inside there. One of the things that we do is a money masterclass. We do several times a year. That's a free webinar. That money masterclass then transitions them into our My Money Buddy program. That My Money Buddy program is the savings element, and then they become full service financial planning clients. So what we started with was just the Savings Squad. What we've now added is the Savings Squad podcast. And since we've introduced the Savings Squad podcast, we've had more clients than ever. I've actually stopped taking on one-on-one clients this year because it builds that trust. The podcast is very intimate. They binge a whole heap of episodes straight away, and it really builds up that trust. So for me, you need to make sure you've got your typical strategies out there, for building clients. So maybe it's PR, or maybe it's, working with a mortgage broker and, doing joint ventures that way. So whatever your, strategies are, but it all brings them to the one place, which is the Savings Squad podcast and Facebook group, which work well together. And then from there, having that nurture and then building that trust for them to take the next step and become a client.
And that Money Buddy, that's an online paid e-learning course they go through on their own. So that's a way for you to provide tremendous value without having to do any of that one-on-one work.
Yeah, so that's the My Money Buddy program. It is that savings program. And yeah, it is a self-paced program. It is $500 Australian. They get 12 months access to it. And so there is 3 elements to that. One is the learning videos. The second thing is we give them access to some software to be able to track. And the third element is a community as well. So a Facebook community. So that has 3 elements. It's actually worked a little too well. So what's happened is what I'm now doing is I'm doing a My Money Buddy version 2.0. So it's going to be called My Money Buddy Accelerator. So the My Money Buddy program is just savings, but all those people still want questions about their retirement. They still want questions about all the other stuff. And so what I've learned is you can deliver amazing value without having to do it all necessarily one-on-one. So traditionally advice goes 3 ways. One is you have that robo solution, which is sort of like a gym membership. You just turn up, there's no one to help you, you're sort of lost in the wilderness. And so that's how I sort of, explain robo. And then you have the one-on-one. So sitting down with someone one-on-one or sitting down with them virtually, that's, like the personal trainer. So that is great, but that can be more expensive to do it that way. So the new solution, which we're working on and just about to launch, is sort of like a do-it-yourself financial planning, but with support. So like a online fitness, we have Michelle Bridges, you probably have someone similar, or we have F45 gyms. I don't know if you have those, but you are building our community of people, and we are so much stronger and smarter when we're in a group. So I've tried this several times with clients, and we get amazing results when we're in that group because everyone feels like they're in the right place. And so they learn off each other, and so many more benefits. So I have developed this new model, which is like a do-it-yourself financial planning that won't just do savings, it's going to do the other elements as well. So I'm giving them access to all the tools and technologies that we use. So things like the projection software that we use. So they can see, well, if I do this, what impact does that have on my debt? So if I work part-time, what does that do to my debt? What does that do to my savings? What does that do to my retirement, my superannuation? So I'm giving them access to that software. And so I've been working on how to make that really user-friendly. And then We also give them access to, the videos, but we are doing, we're really building the community in this. So we are going to be having regular guests, a panel of financial experts, and regular guests come in. So lawyers talking about how do you have that conversation with your parents about their wills? How do you broach that? What do you need to make sure your parents have? How do you make sure your accountant's doing a good job? What questions should you actually be asking them? So it's going to be that full service. Also, we're going to give them access to the investment research houses that we use. It's not rocket science. Why can't we just give them access to the research houses that we use? So we have packaged it all up so that they get access to support training, they get access to experts, they get access to the technology tools. And so we are bringing it all together. And that's the My Money Buddy version 2.0, which is My Money Buddy Accelerator. For the large majority of people, you have the same conversations all the time. So why am I repeating myself 50,000 times? Why not just do it once, do it really well? And then when they want help around, should I do X or Y? Actually, we've got a video in our money library. So have a watch. If you've got any questions, let us know. So people don't want to be told what to do. They want someone to support them. And what I've found is that people are really craving financial education. And that's why in the US, particularly, money bloggers are so huge because they want. Yeah, they are. Money bloggers are massive because people don't want to be told what to do. They want the information to be able to make an informed decision themselves. And so packaging it all together in a way that they can do that, but they've got somewhere to go if they need extra help. That's the new version that we are about to roll out.
And I love that. And I think you are at the very forefront. I've seen this only a couple of times. Lauren Williams of Worth Winning also just launched her online course, because you're right. There are a lot of people that need that guidance and they want it from someone that really knows their stuff. And not to downplay the money bloggers, but a lot of them, they're not trained, they're not certified, they don't have the background and the expertise. And Adele, you're a multi-award winning expert on, Gen X, Gen Y. You are a certified financial planner professional. You've been there. You really understand that. So being able to get that expertise in that accessible and affordable way is awesome. And you've built this incredible business, scalable business. You're doing things so awesomely, but I want to make sure that people don't think that it just happened overnight. So in the last couple minutes, can you just provide us a glimpse of what your background has been that got us where you are today?
Yeah, so actually I've been in financial planning for nearly 20 years, started by accident, and then went to traditional financial planning, which is retirees, people that are about to retire. And so what I heard from those guys is, I wish we saw years ago. Why didn't we see years ago? I saw all the regret that they had because they didn't have the money or they didn't have the health to be able to do the stuff they wanted to do. And so that forced me to, I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. I want to work with my generation. So I just dove in and started working with younger clients. I did not have a great support early on. I didn't have a business coach or anything like that. And so the first 12 months or so, I was really, really busy, but didn't have a lot to show for it. I don't know what I was doing, but I was working long hours. I didn't have a lot to show for it. And so then since then, I've invested very heavily in myself with business coaches. And so what that's enabled me to do is to learn all these different things. Because I think that's one of the mistakes that, I make initially is if you just hang out with other financial advisors, you're only going to get what they're doing. And so hanging out with a business coach that has access to lots of different businesses and seeing, well, how does fitness do it? How does someone in fitness deliver information? Oh, can I do that? And that's how I sort of got that idea. Well, fitness can do it. Why can't we do it in financial planning? And so I think that was probably a mistake that I made early on, is just hanging out with advisors. You're only going to get what they know. For expanding yourself, investing yourself in your business. And so business coaches is definitely a part of that. And then, being okay and actually knowing that you're going to make mistakes. So I have made tons of mistakes. So, undercharged for things that I shouldn't have, or taken on the wrong clients. And so you are going to make mistakes. And if you're not making mistakes, you're not taking big enough risks. And so I think that's probably something that I've had to tell myself is mistakes are a good thing, and had to really work on that. So yeah, lots of mistakes that I've made, but really mistakes are a great thing. They're lessons, and it means that we're taking risks.
Yeah, that's awesome. So any last words, especially to advisors that are young and new to the profession, and maybe are in a really traditional setting, looking around going, I'm not sure if this is where I see myself for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I would say what a great profession that we're in. What a
Yes.
privilege it is to be able to take stress away, to be able to help people achieve their goals, to be able to be there when they buy their first houses and, have their babies, and thank you for letting them be able to expand their family or work part-time. what a great profession that we're in. So if you're not in the right place, I would say for young advisors, build your own personal brand. Obviously with permission, but I would have your brand out there and be building your brand. So if and when you do need to pivot, you've got your personal brand and that's what you've built. And so I would be doing that. And I would be asking if you can do it slowly. So maybe you can have your budgeting offering separate, and you can build that, on the side whilst you're working a traditional 9-to-5 job. Obviously, you've got to check with your employer, but they probably won't have an issue with that because I don't see that as really their clients that they want to work on. And so, yeah, I would say build your own personal brand, buy your domain name on your website, start doing your Facebook and Instagram, particularly Instagram Live. Build up your personal brand and your expertise. And then from there, start to see if you can ease your way into this rather than going cold turkey, because you do have to have some savings behind you if you were going to do this, if you went cold turkey and jumped in, because you don't going to have 100 clients all at once. It takes time and it takes skill to be able to market and find those clients. And so see if you can ease into it.
That is brilliant. And what better example of someone that has built an amazing brand than you? And Adele, I've got links to your website, your Facebook, your podcast, your Instagram down in the show notes. So everyone, please go down, check that out. Adele, you've been a delight to watch, to get to know. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be able to help my advisor buddies from throughout the world.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to the Innovating Advice Show. I would love to hear from you directly about what resonated, what didn't, and what you'd like to hear in future episodes. You can connect with me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram at Innovating Advice, or hop on over to innovatingadvice.com. Till next time.